How's it going, everybody? Albert J. Hernandez. You could call me the Untamed Chef. Welcome to my show. So what do pork, salmon, and prawns have in common? I'll tell you. We're cooking them today. We're going to have some fun with some pork, wild mushrooms, some apples, maple. It's going to be fantastic. Then we're going to work into a beautiful salmon with a lemon Barouche. And then we're going to do an award-winning dish that I do all the time, which is my untamed chili prawns with an avocado Parmesan mousse. So let's get started with our pork. First thing we're going to do, using our Cooking Sensations Chipotle garlic, we're just going to get a nice little season in here. We got to remember when we season, it's very important that we season heavily because this is our crust for our dish. So if we don't have it, we're not going to have much of a dish. Pan is nice and hot. I know that because I can put my hand through and I can actually feel that heat coming through. We're going to do some of our Korniki extra virgin olive oil. Thank you, Rosenthal Olive Ranch. We appreciate this. Get this pan nice and hot here. First thing that's going in, wild mushrooms. Now, what I like about this mixture, we have porcinis, we have oyster, which are my absolute favorite. We have regular button, shiitake. And it's important that we remember when we have these kinds of mushrooms, most of the time when they have that medley together, they're dried up. So what we want to do is we want to hydrate them. And all I did was just put them in some water, 15 minutes. A regular room temp, we let it sit for about 15 minutes. And voila, now they're nice, ready to go. And they're starting to smell really good here. And then I have some dehydrated apples. What I like about dehydrated apples is when we put the maple, it's actually going to hydrate these apples. It's a really amazing dish. So now that we got our mushrooms in, we're throwing some apples in here. I just want to pull them apart. Now, what's cool about this, these apples are not going to get as soggy as we would if we put fresh apples. And it's very important when we're cooking and we want to try to build textures. Too much sogginess isn't going to give us a good texture. It's going to give us a really bad texture. I'm going to add a little bit more of our oil in here. We're going to go ahead and crank our heat up to high because we are now doing a saute. Saute is classified as what? High heat, low fat. So we're definitely got a low fat for all this stuff working in here. Take a look at what we're doing here. We got that color starting to grow a little bit. Now we're going to get our onion ready. We do want to have the onion in here because the onion is going to help to counterbalance some of the sweetness from those apples, and it's actually going to enhance the flavor. You can also do this with rutabaga, but I love these dry apples. They're absolutely amazing. So all I'm going to do is very carefully, we're going to put our fingers back when we run through this onion. It's no hurry. We can always go fast, but we got to learn to go safe first. Onions going right in. We're going to get our pork chop. And remember, whenever we're putting these in, we go the seasoned side down. Very important. Always pull away from you. It's very important because we don't want anybody to get burned. A lot of times what happens is you put a product in, it'll splash right back on you. We do not want that to happen. And I love that good porky goodness that we're going to get right now. I'm going to put a little bit more oil because we're going to start getting our skin nice and crispy here. So take a look what we got. We got onions, we got wild mushrooms, and we have our beautiful apples right here. Mixing it around. This is what we want right here. The pork chop, the color. It's very important that we seal in that flavor because if we don't seal it in, it's going to get released back into the pan. We don't want that. We want juicy pork, not dry pork. It's very important that we mix this around very well. And I can start to feel already this chop's looking really nice. It looks good. The apples are starting to get really soft. Onions are nice and caramelized. Mushrooms are nice and caramelized. We've got our pork starting to cook. There's a rule in my kitchen. Pork to medium, that's all we do. We do not overcook pork. It's sacrilege in my house. It's sacrilege in my kitchen. I'm going to get all this amazing stuff, put it right over the top. This is very important because I want all these flavors to seep through when I drop in the maple. maple syrup right over the top. This is the art of Untamed, everybody. It's simple and it's absolutely just amazing. And the way we make it amazing is we put our heart and our soul whenever we cook. Anytime that I touch a piece of food, I'm in a good mood. You have to always remember that. It's all about attitude. When we're cooking, we want to be creative, we want to be innovative, and we want to be game changers. And that's what we're definitely trying to do with this amazing dish right here. We are changing the game on pork because we are taking things that most people use every day to do pork, but we're doing them in a unique and more exquisite way. And it's super easy to plate this. Family will love it, kids will love it. You got that sweetness in there that really helps to balance out kids that like to eat candy all the time. And it's got that earthiness that really says this is a pork chop that's done well. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the heat off on this. I'm gonna grab our plate here. We'll grab our chop. This is the part of Untamed that I like the most. And there you have it. My Untamed maple pork chop with wild mushroom and apple. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with our salmon dish. Hey everybody, welcome back. Like I said, time to get going with our salmon. Special thanks to Trish and Susie from Glick's Meat Market. I appreciate you guys a lot. So what we're gonna do to get started here, we're gonna get our lemon Arbasana Rosenthal award-winning olive oil. So to go right into our pan, we have a very low flame right here. And we have our seafood from Cooking Sensations seasoning. We're gonna put it on heavily because this is the crust for our fish. And everybody knows that with cooking with fish, it's a very soft texture, so we gotta give it some texture. Let's get that oil worked around there. I'm gonna grab our salmon. The pan's nice and hot already. I can start to see the way the oil's moving around. So what we're trying to do is we want to build this crust really quick on the fish, and then we're going to take the fish out. We're going to throw it into the oven, 10 minutes, 355 degrees, and it's going to be absolutely spectacular. It's going to be flaky, it's going to be delicious, and it's just going to be juicy, which is very hard to do with the salmon because a lot of people don't know how to cook it. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring the heat down, and already, just as simple as we put it in, we're going to give it a turn over. Look at that crust that we got going on right there. This is definitely what we want to see right here because this is telling me that this product is getting done, and that's very important to me. I want to try to get our salmon flipped over here one more time. These tongs are kind of hard to use. We'll try to use something a little bit more easy to work with. And what we're doing is we're just crisping up all the sides before we put it in the oven because this is going to actually sear in all the flavor that we're looking for. So we're just getting it seared up on this side. I'm going to flip it over one more time. We're going to get our other side. It goes into the oven. We set them and forget them. This is such a beautiful piece of fish. They do such an amazing job at Glick's. I absolutely adore it. They've been around for a long time and they're doing big things with their food. Look at how wonderful this looks. That's the color we're looking for. And what this is saying right here is that all the flavors being locked into the salmon, and that's what we needed to do. We're going to go ahead and put this on the other side here. I'm going to just grab a plate real quick. And let this rest a little bit. And then we'll go ahead and we'll put this in the oven. Any of our excess fat that we have, like we do right here, we just want to get it off. So I'll put it back on our dirty salmon plate. Why dirty another plate? We don't need another plate dirty. What we're going to start doing now is the Barouche sauce. And what the Barouche sauce is, we're going to use some of the Cooking Sensations seafood seasoning, red wine. We're going to reduce that down, and then we're going to hit it with organic pastures, amazing raw cultured butter. And what it's going to do is have this beautiful thick pink sauce that plates so well with a salmon dish. So this is pretty much what we're seeing right here. Like I said, what a Barouche is just a reduction of the sauce. It looks really good. It's starting to reduce down. Once it reduces by half, it really doesn't take that much long at all. We're talking maybe 45 seconds. So take a quick look at our sauce. It's reducing down, and this is where we want it to be at. What do I do now? I completely turn off the heat. We don't want no more heat at all. We're gonna pull the pan over here off of the heat. And now comes our organic pastures raw cultured butter. Now it's very important when you do this. With the regular butter, this will break immediately, but because this butter is made the right way and the healthy way, it won't break at all. So what this technique right here is called a monte au beurre, which pretty much means to incorporate something into something else. Oh, that looks fantastic. I think what I'm going to do though is I'm going to put a little bit more seafood in here, just because this is a salmon dish. And it's almost there, everybody. So take a look what I got right here. This is what we want. We got this nice sauce. The flavors look amazing. I'm going to just take our butter spoon, and you can start to see just how wonderful this color is right here. And this is what we want right here. So as you can see, sauce is getting fully incorporated with the butter. We're going to go ahead and pop our salmon in the oven. We're going to come back and we're going to start doing our amazing chili prawns with our avocado mousse. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everybody. So now it's time for our prawns. But before we can start our prawns, we have to start our avocado Parmesan mousse. And it's very important that we do that because we're going to let this sit in the fridge for a little while before we put our hot prawns on there. And this is an absolutely unique dish because it's got the heat and then it's got the cool. So it kind of just hits you boom, boom, like a 1-2 punch. And that's what we want to do. That's where food gets exciting. So let's get excited with this dish now. What I want to do first is we're going to split an avocado right in half. Very easy to do this. And just take it and roll it. Sometimes the avocados are very soft. This one in particular is very soft, and it's going to be really good for what we're doing. We're just going to scoop it all into a nice bowl here. We're going to do both parts of it. We want this to have nice avocado flavor. This definitely has a nice avocado. Now, if it's a little bit brown, don't worry about it. We're going to mix this around, and this is pretty much how all avocados look once they're exposed to air. So, not a big deal. We're going to give that a little mash right there. Nothing too big. Next thing we're going to do is we are going to pour in our beautiful organic pastures grade A raw cream. This is really good to help with the thickness here. And you can see the raw cream. It's absolutely amazing. Parmesan. Now, like I said, this dish is going to counterbalance the heat that we're going to have from our prawns. And we want to put a lot of this Parmesan because this is also going to help to get our cream to fluff up faster, and that's very important because we want to have a nice cream. So just a whisk, and when we whisk, remember, we don't whisk like this. We whisk, we push up. This is like a whip. So I guess whisk, whip, same thing, right? That's why I usually call it a whip. So we whip. What I want to do first is we're going to mush this in with the avocado. We're going to get it all mixed around in there. This is definitely not done. We're going to add more cream. It's very important, like I said, that we do this in moderation of understanding that what happens if you beat the heck out of cream? It turns to butter, so we don't want to over whip it. I'm just mixing it around because I'm not whipping it in yet. I'm going to add a little bit more cream. We want this to be nice and fluffy. Very nice. Pepper. Now we don't have to add salt because it's in the Parmesan cheese already. We just want to add more Parmesan to the product. Okay, a little bit more cream because now we're going to start our whip. I'm actually getting this and folding it. We're turning this into a mousse. And this is very important because if we want to have an airy avocado Parmesan peppery mousse, we got to fluff up our cream. We want to keep doing this so we can add more air into our mousse and it's nice and fluffy. You can already start to see it gets thick really fast, and all we're doing is just mixing it around. And like I said, whenever we're doing a mousse, it takes a little bit of elbow strength, but if you want a good mousse, you got to definitely be willing to put in the work. So take a look here. It's starting to get thick. What I want to do is get it mixed around in here. And if we do get tired while we're whipping, we can always go back and forth motion, just like this. And this is still putting air into the avocado, and it'll make our product work really well. So just back and forth like this. It's getting thick. If your hand gets tired, don't worry, go to the other hand. Just hold that bowl still, because we don't want the bowl going back and forth. If we want this to turn very airy, we're gonna have to make sure to hold our bowl. Now, we're getting it whipped up. It is getting very thick. I'm going to go back to my right hand because now I know it's getting real thick here. And if you hear it, when it hits against the walls, it's pushing that air in. And I just want to keep going because we want a nice avocado mousse here. It's getting very thick now. You can start to see it. It's almost ready. Now, everybody always says, hey, chef, isn't that like guacamole? And that's absolutely not. Guacamole has tomatoes in it. It's a little bit different. This is very, very light, it's very airy, and it's going to complement our shrimp very, very well. So what I'm going to do is keep working on this, but I want to get our prawns in our oil here. So we have a lemon arbusana extra virgin olive oil from Rosenthal Olive Ranch. Thank you so much. Karen and family, good family out there, harvesting these olives. And we have our chipotle garlic cooking sensation seasoning. And I want this to have a little bit of kick to it. It is untamed, and when we cook untamed, we cook with some heat. Now the dish calls to be a la plancha. What a la plancha is we get a really, really hot skillet and we put something in it. In this case, we're doing our shrimp a la plancha with our avocado Parmesan mousse. I'm going to keep whipping up this mousse, making sure it's ready to go. I want you guys to have something amazing. This is real good. If you're watching a football game, you want to do something different, how about a nice avocado mousse? Airy, Parmesan's got that nice nutty texture. It's so good. Everybody's going to want this. I'm going to put a little bit more pepper in here. I can already see just by the color where we're at. I want to have more color in there. I'm going to hit it just with a little bit more Parmesan because you know what? Everybody likes Parmesan. You're never going to get nobody that likes Parmesan. If you do, you better make sure they're from this world because I love Parmesan. I'm going to turn our prawns over here. Oh, these are gorgeous. This is a la plancha at its best. So what we've done here, one thing that I like to always say is if you're going to do shrimp, prawns, whatever, make sure it's not rubbery. That is the most unbelievably bad thing you can do. And I'm teaching you how to do it. It literally is 45 seconds on each side, and then you flip the prawns over to where they all shape like sixes. Very simple, very easy. If you have a lid, you can put a lid over your prawns, that's okay. If they don't want to flip over, some of them don't want to flip over, that's okay. Prawns smell amazing. Mousse is holding up tight. We're coming back with my Untamed Kale right now, and then we're going to plate all this up here on the Untamed Chef. Alrighty, so what we're going to start now is our kale. It's a very easy dish, but it's got a lot of very good flavor. So what we're going to do to get started, I'm going to put my heat on a medium heat. Then we're going to grab our arbusana lemon olive oil from Rosenthal Olive Ranch. Now what I like to do with kale, I don't like to wilt it. Kale is such a superfood. If we're going to really get the best out of kale, we got to keep it raw, but still try to cook it as much as we possibly can. So before we get that kale in there, because it's not going to take long, we got some sun-dried tomatoes. We're just going to do a quick little rough chop through here. Bring my heat up just a little bit more. That's about right. We got a mushroom here where we take the bottoms off. We just roll back. We roll back with it. We never cut our fingers off. Very important. It's very easy. We start right here, and I just roll back right here. It's rustic and gorgeous, and it's going to look really nice. We have our onion here. Now, usually with an onion, I like to take off the first 2 layers. I know there's a lot of chefs that would say that's a waste of an onion. I always feel that the better layers are under those 2. So why not? We're just going to do a medium dice here on this. Not a julienne, because we want to have a little bit of bite to this kale. You take a look at what we got going on in here. We got our mushrooms, we have our onions, we have our sun-dried tomatoes, and we're getting ready to make this really good because we're going to add our kale. We're going to put all this stuff aside here. Kale, nice and rinsed and dried. This is how we always want to have it. Put black pepper because the Parmesan cheese is going to accent as our salt, so we don't need to add a lot of salt to this at all. With our tongs, we're just going to move it around here. But like I said, the best way to do this is to cook our kale, but to still keep it nice and raw. So what we're doing is we're turning our kale because we want it to get a little bit wilted, but we still want it to be as raw as possible so we could get all the super benefits of this amazing superfood. Oh, this smells so amazing right here. Take a look at the color we got going on right here. Nice superfood that we have here. What we want to do is get it nice and wilted, but we don't want to fully cook it. We want it to be as raw as we possibly can have it. This is about what we're looking for right here. It is wilted, but it's still raw. And this means it's going to have an amazing flavor. I'm going to turn the heat down to low now because we are going to start putting our final seasons to make this kale what it is. Now the heat is completely off. Grab our microplane. Parmesan cheese goes right over the top. And this is accenting as our salt. We're not using any salt in this. We're using just the natural salt that's found with the nuttiness of this Parmesan cheese. And we want to get it fully incorporated on one side. Then we're going to flip it with the heat off. Remember, the heat is off now. So we're going to hit it with some more pepper and a little bit more Parmesan cheese. And then our kale will be ready to go. Oh, this looks so amazing. It smells fantastic. The sun-dried tomato, that earthy mushroom, caramelized onions. You couldn't ask for a better dish. There you have it. Untamed, so amazing superfood. Kale with a unique spin, simple flavors, done right. Don't go anywhere. We're going to plate all this up when we come back. I want to thank everybody for coming and being untamed with me today. Everybody thinks that being untamed, it takes this crazy egocentric attitude, and the reality is no, it doesn't. It takes a little bit of this, a lot of this, and these right here. We started with an amazing pork chop, then we worked in this beautiful kale, sun-dried tomatoes, button mushrooms, caramelized onions, and a lot of Parmesan cheese. We did my award-winning chili prawns with my Organic Pastures raw cream Parmesan avocado mousse. It was fantastic. It tastes amazing, but it's a lot of fun, especially for parties. Then we worked into our beautiful salmon here. Thank you so much, San Joaquin Wine Company. Cindy, you're a rock star. The wine is unbelievable. And Glicks for the salmon. This was so juicy, so delectable, and so easy to make. And we topped it off with the award-winning Rosenthal Olive Ranch Arbosana Lemon Infused Oil. Like I said, when we get untamed, we get creative. We have a lot of fun. But more importantly, we're all together in this. I am your chef, Albert J. Hernandez, but you can call me the Untamed Chef.